Yo, this is Arze Poetic, and this is a video tutorial on how to set up what is, in my opinion, the current best way to play out of action with a controller. At this time, the game does not have any official gamepad support, which is why I've made this video. I've created and tested configurations for both left and right-handed players, as I prefer to play left-handed myself. I've also created a couple of configurations that support Gyro, so in total you have 6 options to choose from. Everything in this video has been timestamped, so feel free to jump around and revisit the desired sections as needed, though of course, I recommend you watch the whole video first to understand how and why I designed my bindings, which I think will enable you to get the most out of them. All of these configurations are available in Steam Input. If you'd like a PDF visual guide for the layouts, you can also download that from arzepoetic.com. All links are in the description. Out of action is not your typical FPS, in that there are several functions within the game that go well beyond what is standard in your average first-person shooter. The main thing you likely already noticed is that there are many movement mechanics. You can run on walls, slide, dive, dash, and roll, along with crouching and going prone. Additionally, if you're using the dragon shell for your character build, you can even hover, fly, air dash, and ground slam. Combine everything together and you're essentially cyborg ninjas with guns. Another layer present here are the tactical options like aim stance and leaning, but more on aim stance later. I've given a lot of time and consideration to optimal layouts across countless hours and countless iterations in order to provide something that feels good and easy to pick up and play. I always strive towards an intuitive configuration with absolutely no compromises when it comes to having the full game experience. That said, I couldn't figure out a way to implement the left and right leaning without making it or any of the other features more cumbersome to use. I experimented with many ideas and input activation layers, but I just couldn't land on one layout that added leaning and still felt as good as what I have now. With that being the case, I decided to omit leaning because it felt like the least useful mechanic during moment-to-moment gameplay anyways. I'm thinking that contextual auto-leaning should maybe be an option in the future. Ultimately, my goal is to help other people that want to play with controllers and show Doku, the solo developer behind this game, how a proper controller implementation could work. While this will work with any controller, I highly recommend that you use a controller with gyro aiming capability, as emulating a mouse and keyboard with the fast-paced movement of this game is difficult to accurately control without the help of gyro. I've included 2 gyro configs for either ADS gyro or Dualpakka style for those of you that use the touchpad tape mod, and a non-gyro config for those that don't have or want gyro. Remember that you can customize this option yourself within Steam Input. As you can see from my controller, I'm using the Dualpakka tape mod to emulate the upcoming Steam controller's new grip sense feature. I've used the same mod to experiment with capacitive stick and trigger in the past, but I'm really enjoying the grip sense very much so far, and I'm extremely excited to get my hands on the Steam controller when it releases. Stay tuned for coverage on that if you're interested. Just remember to show all layouts when searching for Arze Poetic on the Community Layouts tab if you don't see my configurations, or just use the links in the description. You'll want to make sure you select the appropriate option that falls in line with your preferences. In any case, I'm going to lay out everything as clearly as possible so you can experiment and adjust things to your preference. No matter what controller you have, I hope you can gain something from this guide. Feel free to leave any questions or suggestions in the comments. To get started, we need to consider making a couple of changes to the in-game sensitivity settings because I find that the default setting is just too sensitive for controller. I recommend you start by going to the config menu and setting all 3 sensitivities to 0.5 to start, and then tweak that higher or lower based on your preference. Wherever you end up for general sensitivity, I recommend you keep aim and scope to be slightly lower, so aiming in ADS is more manageable. I like my general sensitivity at about 0.75 and the other 2 at about 0.7. Before we get to the gameplay, I wanted to point out that I set up a menu layer that automatically activates when the computer cursor is shown, which is currently done on all menu screens. In this layer, the controller functions as you would expect. You can select things with the X button or the primary trigger, and scroll through menus with your secondary stick, which emulates a scroll wheel. Now for the gameplay. Let's start with the basics. Movement and aiming emulates the WASD keys and mouse inputs respectively. Clicking with my movement stick activates the crouch button, which you can hold to keep crouched. When moving forward or backwards, you can press it to slide in that direction. If you click this while moving left or right, you will perform a quick dash in the chosen direction. If you have the dragon shell equipped, you can ground slam from the air with this. Clicking the aiming stick will allow you to perform a quick melee strike. I have the aim down sight and fire set to triggers as you might expect. Tapping your primary bumper while in ADS will switch the ADS style back and forth between regular sights and the canned position. Doing this while dual wielding will allow you to switch between firing both guns or emptying them one at a time. Note that aiming down sights with both guns drawn shoots them simultaneously, while hip firing alternates each shot. Tapping the primary bumper while not in ADS will allow you to use your nanowire, which can be used to pick up weapons, interact with data terminals for capturing objectives, and allow you to grapple the deployable anchor points. Holding down this bumper will allow you to mark targets with a tag. Tap the secondary bumper for the scan function, which will allow you to detect and mark enemies through walls within close proximity. When you have the Overseer augment equipped, this replaces the scan function with the ability to toggle between first and third person. Just be aware that you have a visible drone that follows you around when using this augment. Hold down this bumper to activate your core, though you can only do this when it is charged to 100%. What this does is activate slow-mo for you and everybody within your omnidirectional line of sight, with each person affected expanding the effect. For the face buttons, let's start with X. X is used for jumping and also used to toggle the hover mode when using the dragon shell. When in hover mode, you can hold X to ascend. Square is going to be reload. For triangle, you can press it once to equip your primary, tap it twice to equip your secondary, and hold it down to equip your melee weapon. I chose to separate the weapons this way as opposed to mapping the scroll wheel or setting up a cycling option, because keeping them separate allows you to choose your weapon deliberately and not have any mistakes due to any contextual mismatch. Tapping circle will perform a quick roll in any direction you choose, and holding it down will allow you to dive into a prone position instead, which you can keep held down for as long as you want to stay prone. When using the dragon shell, you can press circle to boost in midair. I've mainly reserved the D-pad for the gadgets. Left and right on the D-pad will equip your assigned deployable devices. Down on the D-pad will drop your currently equipped weapon. Up on the D-pad will use your stem for a quick heal. The options key will act as an escape key on the keyboard. This means pausing the game will work as you would expect it to. The share button has been mapped to the scoreboard, though you can also hold down the touchpad on the DualSense controller to display this. On the note of the touchpad, you can click it once to activate the game text chat, or double-click it to activate the team text chat. Activating either chat will trigger the Steam keyboard to pop up. Alternatively, if you pause the game or are in a menu, you can also press up on the D-pad to toggle the text chat and double tap up to activate the team text chat. While in the menu, you can also tap down to show the Steam keyboard. So now you've got clear insight into how I've designed these profiles and why I think it all makes sense. While I feel the configurations are set up pretty well, if you still don't like anything specific about them, I encourage you to use this as a template and tweak and adjust it to your liking as you play the game. If you have any recommendations or ideas on what you think works better for you, please share them with everyone in the comments. The more options, the better. At the time of recording this video, the final open play test is live and going on until December 14th of 2025, and you can request access for free by checking out the game page on Steam. For a full breakdown on everything you need to know about the movement system, check out this video breakdown from the developer Doku on all of the movement tech within the game, and check the wiki site if you want a deep dive on everything else. I recommend joining the Discord if you want to stay up to date with the game's development as well. All the links are in the description for you to check out. Feel free to shout out any other recommendations and resources in the comments. That's it for this one. I know it's been a long time coming, but in my decision to tackle yet another game with complicated inputs, I had to do a shitload of testing and iterations to iron out all the kinks. Hopefully, we get native controller support in the future. but in the meantime, I think these layouts I created are just about as good as it can get for us controller players. If you found this helpful, please let me know in the comments and leave a like on the video. My next controller configuration is going to be for Gray Zone Warfare, which has had a couple of great updates rolled out recently, with more on the way. Be sure to subscribe if you want to catch that video when it drops. Check out the channel for similar deep dives into other games and tech, including reviews, previews, and some original music thrown in the mix. If you want to go the extra mile in supporting my efforts, consider checking out my website and joining my Patreon for updates and sneak peeks at my works in progress. While I have a regular full-time job and really do this for the love, any and all support is greatly appreciated. You can even join the Patreon for free now and get access to some of the content there. This is Arze Poetic, dropping the mic. Peace.